Now, I'd like to introduce Gary Baumann, defense lawyer from Florida. He's a partner at Fulmer, Leroy, Baumann, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In Fort Lauderdale, they have offices throughout the state of Florida. And Larry Kent, who some of you know, is a plaintiff lawyer from California, from the West Coast, East Coast, plaintiff defense. And they want to say a few words about the conference, and then we're going to turn it over to Keith Keller and off to the races.
Morning.
Morning, everybody.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and also to thank Ed for this beautiful shirt. Those of you who know me know this is really my style, my look. I'm an outdoorsy kind of guy. I caught a bear yesterday. I'd like to thank Ed for the prestigious title as well. Are any of you familiar with the book that was written some years ago, The Peter Principle? That's where people rise to their level of incompetence. I was a panelist once, and then I was a moderator, and Ed decided this year to give me this position so I would have much less to do. I appreciate it. Just want to be serious for a moment. I'm kind of evangelical about this topic. I'm happy to look out and see a crowd of people that I hope are here for drinking and carousing and a little bit of a change in the way we do business. I'm evangelical about it because it affects me and the people I represent in a big way every day. But I have a lot of colleagues who are represent builders and subcontractors and insurance companies, and I hear them upset on a regular basis about how our system seems to grind and grind and grind away and cost tens of thousands of dollars a week just to accomplish virtually nothing. So what I'm hoping for is that people here are willing and able to focus on what I think is the real problem with our system. It takes a very, very altruistic person, someone who takes their oath very seriously, to set aside the inherent conflict in our business. Cases that take a long time make everybody in the room a lot of money, unless, of course, you're paying for it. It's our duty as lawyers not to cause our clients to suffer. It's our duty as lawyers to resolve these cases as effectively as possible. And yet, very oftentimes, that doesn't happen. I have one quick suggestion. I've been using it for years. As a lawyer, if I have a brilliant idea about how a case ought to go, say it's a theory that I'm going to try or a defense that I think somebody's going to use, I run it by a non-lawyer, usually my wife. And if she says, "Hey, Larry, that's a stupid idea," I don't do it. And I think when I look out at how a lot of the cases are being handled, I would like to ask my wife or a juror maybe, what do you think of this? Because a lot of the stuff I see, it just happens because it always happens. This is the way we do things. This is the way we were taught to do things. This is the way we've, been doing it forever. And I think a big part of this seminar, and I'll get off my soapbox, a big part of this seminar is for people who really care. And I think there are business opportunities here for people who really care. If you can do a better job, if you can do a faster job, if you can do a cheaper job of resolving complicated cases, people who matter will care about that. And your life will be better in the long run. But you have to be willing to make that change. And I think I'm hoping with this seminar and in years to come, people will see that lots and lots of people will benefit, and lots of people will be less harmed if we make a change in the way we do our business. And that's the serious side. Gary here is very amusing, so I'm going to stop talking and let Gary do his thing. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Larry. They say comedy's all about timing. With that kind of introduction and expectation, I'm not going to make a single damn joke. So, like Larry, I'd like to thank Ed and the rest of Lima staff, affectionately known as the Key West Mafia, for this lovely shirt. This is very nice, and I really appreciate it, so thank you. To echo what Ed has discussed and what Larry commented on, When we first were talking with Ed and Larry about this concept of carrying on, something in Key West that was started many years ago by Ed, we said, well, what do we want? What do we want to make it? What's the goal? Let's realize what the goal is and then make it happen. And one theme that continued to resonate in the discussions were ideas of having decision makers, quality individuals, people who have the insight to share ideas and who aren't afraid to express potentially controversial opinions. And frankly, I enjoy hearing people like Larry speak at these events more than any of the lawyers, defense lawyers, no offense to us, defense lawyers, even more so than the carriers, no offense to the carriers, Phyllis. But they offer a different perspective, and I think we should all embrace that and not be afraid to consider what we're doing and the approach that we currently have in our present business model for these cases. Is it the best? You know, it might work eventually. Cases get resolved, whether you like it or not. You either try it or settle it. Your client's happy or not so happy. But is there a way to get to that resolution in a way that is more streamlined, is more thoughtful? And that's the word that I like to use a lot. Is it thoughtful? Are you actually putting some effort into this, or are you just going through the usual motions? And that's a theme that we're going to discuss over the next 2 days. So I think enough has been said at this point. We'd like to get on with it. There is one comment I'd like to make, in addition to what I said about thanking the sponsors and all the sponsors on the panel and the sponsors in the room. If you look at some of the vendors, the theme again is, you know, value engineering, cost control, cost savings. We all know time is money, but frankly, we forget sometimes that technology is really inexpensive, and how we use that technology can greatly improve all of our business models, and those are some of the things we're going to discuss today. There's going to be time set aside at the end of each panel for questions. So I know that everybody has a lot of ideas, and I think that that's great, and we want good energy in the room. But certainly these panelists have prepared it thoroughly, trust me, and they have a lot to say and share. There will be time at the end, so write down your questions. Everybody's got pens and paper, and don't be afraid to ask them. Don't think that your question's gone stale just because a half hour has passed. We're still interested in hearing all the questions. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Keith. Thanks.
Thank you very much.